Hi, I'm Jen. Welcome to Fate 40 and Beyond, a podcast for women in midlife who feel like they're behind. Like maybe no one else understands what they're navigating, and sometimes we just need a place to talk about real life. Each episode starts with a tarot card reading, and from there, the conversation unfolds into whatever truth the cards bring. We talk about midlife growth, intuition, emotional honesty, and what it looks like to rebuild a life that actually feels right. Outside of the podcast, I'm the owner of Soulful Existence, where I work with clients around the world through tarot card readings, mediumship, and past life regressions. Today, we have a guest on, and we have Lisa. Lisa, can you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. First, thank you, Jen, for having me on. I'm super excited to be here. My name is Lisa Eva Zack, and I am a mother. I am an advocate for women's voices, and I went through a recent life change and am now dedicating myself to sharing what I've learned along the way. I started a company called evolution.com. My goal is to evolve the way that the world looks at women. So
Yeah. Oh,
here we
wow. I love that. There are a lot of changes happening already for women
hmm
across the world. It's just not quick enough. It's not in your
Agreed.
face
Agreed.
stuff. And
hmm
so I think our generation is really the first generation that's truly offended by that. You know, like we see the value in our fellow women and we know that. I mean, it's not even like for me. I do this for other women so they have a place to share their stories. I don't I don't feel like anyone needs to really hear mine. So it's more of like advocating for everyone else.
Well, we're all part of the same story. And
We
and like
are.
you said, especially our generation. I'm in the later half of the 40s. I was raised with songs like Girls, Girls, Girls,
Right.
and Be Quiet in the Back Seat because we're getting it on and
Yeah.
Don't Let the Cops See. And it's really been an awakening that this is not what women are here for.
Right. We are very cute and pretty, but that's not all we are.
Exactly. Yes, yes, we are definitely beautiful, but that doesn't mean that you get to own us or do whatever you want with
Right.
us.
That's crazy to me that it was just, what, maybe 50, 60 years ago that women really just started buying real estate or owning business or having like checking accounts without a man on their
Yes,
account with them. It's
yes.
that
Yeah.
recent.
And my true belief is that the reason that is because they know how powerful we are.
One,
They
one,
know how amazing we are. They know that we hold the secrets
yeah.
and they wanna control us.
Yeah.
And so they've been doing a real good job so far. But, in our general culture, I would say, of
Sure.
course, there's many
Yeah.
cultures out there that function in an egalitarian society, or
Right.
with matriarchal values. But, and my hope is that, like you said, a lot of things are changing now. We are really starting to shift the shame, and I am really hopeful that we'll see this in our lifetime. And I'm actually my goal is to create it on some level.
Right.
People call it homesteading, or my children have been calling me culty, and I'm like, it's not culty, I swear it's not. It's just love and kindness. It doesn't have to be
Right.
weird.
Right. Yeah. And I think that goes back to like, we want the same for every woman. It's not that I want to be a leader of some sort or I want to dictate what people are choosing. It's really truly that I just want everyone else to be on an even playing field.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so I get that. All right. Well, awesome. Let's go ahead and get started into the reading. I'm going to shuffle a little bit and we'll go from there.
Okay.
And I love that we just met because I don't know anything about your story. So there's a lot of readings I do and I know some of the background story or I've been reading for the same people for years and this is fun and different. Yay! So I like it. I do read very intuitively. I don't know if you're familiar with tarot at all, but the cards that I pull, they may not be the traditional meaning. So it could be just the way that I explain it is like I see the card and words, images, feelings all start tumbling in. And my job is just to put them all in a coherent sentence. Sometimes it's not so
Okay.
coherent, but,
I get that.
but that's just how I've always read. I'm trying now, like I've been doing this for 10 years, probably longer. And I'm trying now to learn the standard meanings for everything. It's still like Okay, it feels important, I guess. Let's see what we have. Okay. 10 of Swords right off the bat and the 5 of Cups, which to me is very much like you have gone through your own experience, your own kind of like new it feels almost like let's see, what is this feeling like? It's giving me very much like Dorothy in Oz type of vibes of like walking in all of a sudden there's color and there's light and you've gone through the trials and tribulations type of thing and now your perspective has changed so much that it's like solid and done. You're not I mean I think there's like still some figuring out. There's always going to be adjustments after that, but like
Of course.
you've gone through the main event that has brought you to the other side. And I do feel like that it's shifted a lot of like mental perspectives or outlooks on things for you that maybe
Hmm.
you felt very set in your ways originally and now you're going, "Oh, that's not quite how I expected things to really be." Because it does feel like oh, the man behind the curtain type of thing. Like it feels like someone just pulled that curtain away for you and now all of a sudden you're seeing things for what they really are. Is that fairly accurate for what you went through?
Yes, I would say it was an absolute shift. I had a situation where my reality broke.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, well now I need to completely just kind of like you said, like really rethink like everything and what is
Yeah.
happening. And I started to follow my intuition and not really understand even what or why. And in doing that, that has led me to a new understanding of spirit and God that I never saw before. So in that
Yeah.
way, yeah, I would say that it was definitely like you said, like, spiritually, it was a curtain
Yeah.
opening. And I don't know if you want to go here just yet, but
Yeah, no,
for the longest time,
let's do it.
I have been saying that Jesus is an alien.
I love that actually because to me, I don't like there's not really a way to describe how I see this all-encompassing being, but we're all parts of it. And so if aliens do exist, why aren't aliens part of it too? Like it just kind of makes sense to me. But yeah, there's like dimensions beyond. And so to me,
Absolutely.
it's all
Right.
coming together, whether it's like through intuition or through our human experience. That makes sense to me. Totally.
Energy is all connected, right? We are
Yeah.
all the earth. We're connected to each other, even just in our breath, right?
Yeah.
And so when Jesus said God is within you,
Yeah.
that's what he meant.
Right.
Right? Like we're literally it's the energy of life that comes that connects us all.
Yeah.
And the Bible talks about him walking on water and the angels in the sky. It's like, well, they just were trying to explain things they didn't understand.
100%. I actually heard someone mention that recently, probably in a podcast somewhere, but they
Yeah.
were talking about like how for so long we did not have the capacity to think outside of like our 3D world as a human race. Just that's what we knew. That's
Sure.
we didn't have words for anything beyond that. And now, especially with the study of like quantum physics and all of these
Mhm.
other understandings that are basically backing up what spirituality has been saying all along.
Which is
We are
awesome.
developing words to explain all of this now. Like we're
Yes.
starting to understand the concepts. And so, yeah, I completely get he may not have been like physically walking on water, but whatever it looked like, that's what the words that they could find for it in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I think it's pretty interesting. So yeah, I would say that that's pretty on
What was your upbringing like with spirituality? You don't have to go
Catholic.
into specifics,
Oh, no,
but
that's
just kind of
fine.
like,
And I was raised Catholic,
okay, I
and
was too.
yeah, and as a teenager, I was like, "I don't know, man. This is all kind of bullshit." And my mother was very religious and even worked for a Catholic organization. And so she had me meet with priests and talked about doubting Thomas and faith and what you don't believe. And just this idea of like a God daddy in the sky was
Right.
just, I don't know. And a lot of the rules didn't seem to make sense. And I just wasn't resonating with it. And I tried
Yeah.
to get back when my kids were little, and that was a nightmare too. Little kids don't belong in a Catholic church. Like,
No, it's
so
hard.
yeah, I
Yeah.
fell away. And I think that, there's so many people that use God for hate that
Right.
it really has
Yeah.
kind of put a sour taste in my mouth for
Yeah.
organized religion.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, so my dad's a deacon in the Catholic Church. My mom
Okay.
works at my Catholic high school that I went to. I was
There you
in Catholic
go.
school growing up for all
Hmm.
but like 2 or 3 years, and I think I was pretty I was pretty hardcore Catholic until I turned 18, and I immediately married someone who was more of a non-denominational Christian. He refused to become Catholic, so I said, "Okay, well, I'll still believe in all of that, but I'll just be Christian now, like, I don't mind going to
Hmm.
that church." And
Yeah.
that's how we raised our kids for many, many years, and that works. I got divorced, and that was, like, the whole undoing of all of all of the organized religion in my life, and that's when I
Yeah.
started to really dive into all of my spirituality and my whole,
Hmm.
like, just deconstruction. I mean, it was
Yes.
100%
Yeah.
just this looking at things from a completely different perspective at that point.
And
So,
did
yeah.
you still find I find that there is a lot of correlation, when I think
Oh, yeah.
about right, like, the pagan spirituality or just
Sure.
spirituality period, and
Mhm.
just different ways that I understand things to be, and then looking at how they almost like I don't wanna say twisted it, but how they interpreted it, I suppose, and then tried to, and then disseminated that
Right, and
information.
like, twisting it isn't I
That's
think some
no, that
little
wasn't the right word.
but, like, I do think that there were some big players who used it in manipulation, but that's not necessarily I think a lot of people it got diluted over time, and
Yeah.
people just started doing things because that's what you do. Tradition
Mm.
is such a big important aspect of
Yes.
especially the Catholic religion. You don't
Mhm.
do things different. You just do it that way because there's some meaning there, we just don't know what it is anymore. It doesn't quite
Right.
mean the same thing anymore. So 100%, I always think it's pretty hilarious. My dad and I are fairly similar in that we both like, I'm ordained as a non-denominational whatever, like,
Minister.
I do weddings and I'm like, I love that stuff,
Yeah.
but he is still very much like that traditional Catholic, but, like, we're
Mhm.
so far on the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I love it,
Yeah.
but it sounds like we had very similar stories in that respect,
It does
and
sound like that. Yeah.
the tradition I do miss sometimes of the Catholic Church, and I've gone back here and there just for a mass, and then I go, "Oh, yeah, it's all that other stuff that I'm just not on board with," and one of the biggest things right off the bat when I started to kind of, like, look at it and really inspect it was, "Why do we need saints? Like, why can't I just go to Jesus on my own?" I'm like,
Right.
"You want me to pray to
Right.
this other person to pray for me? Like, that doesn't make sense." And so it was just little stuff like that. But now I have a more open understanding of the saints, just like any kind of pagan deity, is more of an archetype of
Mm.
certain aspects of character that we
Yeah.
wanna embrace, and I
Ideology.
totally get that. Like, that
Mhm.
makes so much more sense to me, and I can accept it that way.
But to your point, though, I felt that same way, but with regards to reconciliation.
Yeah.
Why do I need to tell you, old man,
Right.
all the
Who's
bad
never
stuff I
literally lived in my
did
shoes. Yeah.
because I'm not gonna be forgiven and you're the only way. I gotta go through you.
Right.
No.
And then you dictate how I absolve myself of that.
Right, right, because I said 10 Hail Marys, now I'm good
Right.
to go. I got my pathway back into heaven, like, come on now. This is
It
just
just
about
yeah,
control. That's
it just
all it
doesn't
is.
make
It's about
sense.
control and money. The
Yeah.
Catholic Church is one of, like, the richest organizations. They're one of the highest landholders in the world.
Right.
It's
Right.
crazy. So I
Right.
think that it was some really good, though I believe I believe that at the base of Catholicism that there is really good things there, right? I've
Oh,
seen
for sure.
so much missionary work. I have
Mhm.
seen so much love and care, and the basis of Jesus's teachings I think are right on. But then I think some men got a hold of it, back in
Yeah.
1000, whatever Bibles were written, and decided to add some flavor
Right.
to keep everybody in line. So,
It's like playing telephone. What
yeah.
started out as very pure and meaningful has just lost its meaning through humans over the years, and that's all it is. And I like that I appreciate, let's put it that way. I appreciate that there are so many people going back and like examining the faith that they were brought up with and making
Mhm,
it more of their own. I'm actually in recovery. I go to AA, and that's a big part of what I see in the rooms is just people who really take the time to investigate what is it that I believe? How
mhm,
does that compare to what I was brought up with or not brought up with? There's some people, and it's funny to me because I don't get it, but like there's some people who are just really not raised with religion in general. And it's not
right.
that they are bad people, they just weren't told what to believe, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Lucky them.
Well,
They get a whole fresh start.
you get a blank slate.
Yeah, but it's really cool to see these people, and most of them are about our age, and they're just really at a place where they're making it their own. So it's not like they're abandoning spirituality or faith. It's really just uncovering what it means to them. And I think
Mhm.
that's so cool.
I agree, I agree. I think, everyone should be open to growing and learning, and that's all it
It,
is really, we change our perspectives at the more we
right.
learn and grow and experience, and it makes me crazy when people are, "Well, this is the way it's always been done, and so I'm just sticking with it, and I'm not even gonna entertain anything else," and it's like, "Oh, come
Yeah.
on."
Yeah, and it is always evolving for me. It's never like what I thought my higher power was at the beginning of my recovery journey is totally different than what it is now. And I have actually said recently, like, I don't know, some days it's an alien from another dimension. Some days it's like the the Jesus of our normal Christian ideas. Like it
Mhm.
varies anywhere in between that.
That's amazing. Listening to intuition and trusting it and being discerning is something that has been relatively new for I don't wanna say new,
Yeah,
but I never I think I haven't trusted it, or
right.
I haven't been quiet or still enough to hear
Ooh,
it.
yeah. I get that. Like I see that, especially because our generation, like we're tail end of Gen X, and we were
Mhm.
told like if you're not productive, you're not worthy. If you are not pushing through the pain,
Oh,
then you're weak. If like
yes.
we've been told all of these stories. So there was no being still or being present or
Mhm.
it was more about like accumulating all of these things to show how worthy you are of everyone's love and adoration, but, like, I don't I don't want that anymore. I want I want peace in my heart, and sometimes that does take quiet, you know?
It does, and it really takes a lot. Sometimes it takes fear, and it takes letting go
Mm,
and trusting, just trusting that things will work out the way they're supposed to. To your point, and that's a great segue to one of the catalysts. Um, I uh, I was working for my brother actually, and he's a wonderful guy, but he is just very business. He's very
yeah.
business, and also because he's the owner, and he was, and I'm sure still is, pulled in so many different directions that I don't think that he really understood what I was trying to tell him, and he wasn't listening. And for a year, I told him, it's too much. It's too much for one person. I need help. I need, hire extra staff for me." And he just couldn't understand it. "But you've been doing it this whole time. Why now is it a problem?"
Right.
And it was because, I need peace in my life, and this is just too much for one person. And I have 5 children,
Oh, wow.
and they all live with me. They do have their dad. pays child support and, that's nice. But, but they all live with me and I, sole provider in my, for the most part in my home. And I quit my job. It was, the only job that I had. It was a decent salary. And with my brother, that was probably never going to fire me, but he wasn't valuing what I
Right.
was doing and he wasn't listening to me.
Right.
And so I gave him 4 months notice and trained the new people that came on. And it was just one, part of my job went to one person, part went to another. I ended up having to chat with that gal last week. And long story short, she shared with me that they are up to now 5 people that they
For your one
hired.
role.
Yes,
Yeah.
5, at least 2 of which are full time, and they're still struggling to get a handle on it.
Yeah.
But I knew that.
Yeah.
But I was still telling, but everything else, that productive, that if you're not working 1,000,000 miles an hour,
Yeah.
you're not doing a good enough job. And I questioned myself, and everyone then questioned me. You're nuts. What are you doing? Like, you can't just quit your job. And I'm like, well, I am
Gosh.
because this is the universe is just telling me, like, this is just what you got to do now.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to let go and say, all right, let's see what happens.
Wow. I call those Tarzan moments, leaping
Mm.
from vine to vine. Like we
Mm.
there's a period where he jumps where he's not attached to either of them and he doesn't know where he's going to land, but he has his eyesight set on something. It just doesn't mean that it's going to totally be solid when he gets there.
Yeah.
You know.
We don't know. We don't know.
And that's scary. Like, that's probably one of the
Terrifying.
biggest thing holding me back. I still have a full-time job, and I am still trying to build my business and now the podcasts and, be present with my family. And it's more so that I do get joy out of my extra stuff. But yeah, like, I still need to pay bills. I still need to know that there's a solid income coming in, and that's scary to let that go and eventually become hopefully, self-employed, but I don't know what that looks like, and I'm still holding back so much when it comes to that. So I
Sure.
think I probably needed to hear your story. Probably for me,
Well,
but
I do wanna, and I mean, can definitely go into even more details of all of that if you'd like, but I do wanna, preface that by saying that I don't have a windfall. I have nothing to say. I mean,
well,
I'm
and that's
I'm
funny because
not
that's
independently wealthy.
no, that's
Um,
the next card that was coming up for me. It was finances, like resources coming in,
coming
and
in.
I don't wanna say like they're, it's not coming in, but it does feel almost like really protective of what's there already. That's the
Okay.
energy that I'm picking up on. So it's not necessarily it doesn't feel like hoarding away. It just feels like being very diligent about what's being allocated where and how it's coming in. Very aware of that flow, I want to say.
Mhm.
Because it does feel like there's a flow. It just doesn't feel like it's wide open faucet yet. It doesn't, it just
Yeah. It's coming though.
it is, yeah. And then for the longest time, I always heard, like how do I word this? Behave as if in order to really start bringing things in, right?
Yes.
And I kept thinking, well, sure, if that applies to manifestation and I want to act as if I have $1,000,000 in my bank account, I don't know. Then I need to buy expensive things and I do need to look a certain way. And, my head that was so
Mm.
skewed. And really what it boils down to is if I can manage my bank account with $500 in it, I can manage a bank account with $1,000 in it. And eventually the universe is going to see that. And then from $1,000, the universe is going, okay, she's still doing really good with this. I can increase that flow a little bit. And
Yeah.
that's what like was a aha moment for me with that flow kind of resource thing. And the moment that I get scared and I start squeezing that hose again, the flow stops. It just never fails. And I
Mhm.
think that's that idea of like you're managing maybe on the smaller end right now, but you're managing it well. And that's how that feels. That's what their energy is coming through as. But I do think like the very next card is the 10 of Pentacles, which is resources and kind of like I don't wanna say wide open energy, but just kind of like, you've gone through all the trials and I wanna say the lessons that are related to resources for you, It feels like that's on its way. Like you're going through those trials and lessons right now, and eventually it's going to bring a new uh a bigger flow. Let's put it that way. I want to say like new status. That doesn't feel right, but like a bigger flow.
but a bigger
Does
flow.
that sound right for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. And that's how I've been feeling. And you know, like, so like, so what I was going to say is, you know, so right. One is I'm not independently wealthy, by any stretch. And like I said, my children's dad does pay child support, which is great. I know that a lot of women don't have that. So I
Right.
consider that to be a privilege. And I have a home that I was able to borrow against to float me
Yeah.
for a bit. So that's a privilege. You know, I recognize that I have some privileges that allowed me to take the time that I needed mentally, because the reality, Jen, is that if I didn't stop doing what I was doing, I mean, I mean, how could I now? And now, after I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so validated, because so here I am. I'm a single person. I was going through a divorce,
Yeah.
with husband number two. I was in court with husband number one,
Okay.
and I have 5 kids, and I'm doing the work of 5
Right.
people at my job.
Right.
It's untenable. It's you can't it's
Uh,
unsustainable. You
Well,
can't
and
keep
at a
doing
certain
that.
point, your health starts to take a toll. It's not even like mental health energy at that point. Like internally, your body starts to revolt and say, no, we can't do this.
And that's exactly what happened. You know,
Yeah.
I just, like you said, I came to a point where I was like, I I just can't do it anymore. And I don't even care what happens next, because if I
Yeah.
don't stop, I'm not gonna make it. You know, like it
Yeah.
was sick. I was not in good shape. And I was like, I will figure it out later. But what I do know is that I can't do this.
I have a probably much better understanding of that than people might expect. So I used to be a firefighter, and there was a point I had something um a little traumatic. Like I didn't think my body, it was like a traumatic response to something outside of work that happened at work. And my
Okay.
body freaked out thinking it was experiencing it again.
Mhm.
And within days, weeks, I don't know, I actually lost like a bald spot of hair, like big enough to where it was noticeable to everyone around me. And my body just started to like speak up for me, basically, is what it did.
Yeah.
And when that hair started to grow back, it was stark white. Like I just for years I had this
Wow.
white strip all the way down because I don't like it's the weirdest
Did it
thing to
go
me.
away?
And so it did. When I started
Wow.
to actually listen to my body again and start focusing on my health, it started to grow back in its normal color. And so now I just have my old lady white hair, which is fine. But but yeah, like the body will speak up. The body
Wow.
knows.
Oh,
It's
it
it's
does.
just crazy when that happens.
Mhm.
I love that you listen to yourself though, because I know there are so many women out there who don't. They're just they
Fear
just
is
push this.
real. I mean, especially when you're responsible for other people. You know, again, though, I do have I'm privileged in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know, I have family nearby that's, you know, they haven't been financially supportive, but emotionally supportive, which
Right.
is huge. You
Oh,
know, it
huge.
really is huge. I consider myself very lucky in that way. And so, because of that, I am now, dedicating my life to supporting others that don't have those
Yeah.
privileges. There's a
And
lot of mothers
it's
out there that don't
I would
have
say it's a lot
family.
more common than people might think.
Mm,
When I went through my divorce, my family lives on the other side of the country.
there you go.
And so I didn't have local support. And it was a
Mhm.
little odd because, I'd go back to my ex and ask him for help with certain things. And
Yeah.
but I had to find my own community too.
Mhm.
And it's definitely been an interesting journey not having family, like biological family nearby. So that is, I mean, it's like it is a blessing. And
It is,
I
very much
I
so.
think, and so often, especially with certain dynamics in relationships, one partner will remove the other from their
Mhm.
support system.
Yeah.
And that creates a whole whole different dependency, if that
Yes.
happens.
Yes. Yeah. And so
So
that's you know, I'm taking active steps to create. I don't want to say a business. It's really more of a nonprofit that supports women in those places.
I love that. Oh, it's
Thank
like it
you.
just feels so. It feels like a big warm hug. Like it feels like a bolt.
Right?
I don't know
And
how to
that's
explain
exactly what I want to do. I just want to like hug everybody.
it. Yeah. Ah, that's
Oh,
so
I'm so
cool.
happy. That makes me feel so good that you feel that way.
Oh yeah. No, like immediately as you were talking about it, just like this overwhelming just sensation of just like being embraced. It feels so good. Back to the cards really quick.
Yes.
There's the Queen of Wands, which to me is that's coming through as like you actually speaking up for yourself. And then like let's see. I have the feeling and the image. I just don't have the words.
That's all right.
It
Take your time.
feels like a wave. So almost like this is so funny. Like if you're standing in front of the ocean and the water's to your back and you're like, okay, I have all this power and now I'm ready to use it. And this wave just like and just takes you forward. That's how that feels. Like you've called in this just powerful movement for your life. That's how that feels. I love it so much. Very Moana. Very like I talk to the ocean feeling. But then also right after that, I have the Fool, which is all about a new journey, like a whole new just setting out on something completely unknown. And that's where you're at right now. But then,
Wow.
it goes back to the wands of like the King of Wands. And it's okay, well, yeah, we've cleared the way of everything that doesn't need to be here anymore. I've decided I'm moving forward. Here's the new plan, but now I have to do the work. Like
Mhm.
that's how that feels.
Yeah.
And there's so cool because I don't know, it's not hugely known, but spiral dynamics. Have you ever heard of that?
I have not. I
Okay,
love
so
learning new things.
I know it's one of those things I come back to every few years, but this really made me think about it. There's this idea that there's almost like levels that we move through as we evolve as a human, as a person, and it starts with very self-centered priorities, and then kind of moves out to our group, our immediate family, and then it goes back to self. And as we're moving up, like it becomes more refined. And and I don't remember offhand, it's been a few years since I've looked at this, but there's a point where we go through this like awakening and we move from being self focused into like community as a whole, all
Mm.
the people around us. And that feels like where you're at right now. There's this like understanding of like, I can help myself, been there, done that, but now I can help other people too. And, there's another point after that where you'll come back to self and learn more about yourself in that respect. But that doesn't negate what's already been done. It just is you constantly. And then, after that, there's another step where you're community focused again. But the fact that you've gone through, and I've already mentioned this once, but like the fact that you've already gone through your moment, like you've already gone through your revolution, is now allowing you the wisdom and the insight to help other people with that. It really is more focused. And I'm saying all this because I got the world card, which makes me think about that community and extending yourself outward versus just saving yourself. Like you're not there anymore. The image that came into mind is like the movie Titanic, where they all saved themselves in the lifeboats and then like a few people went back for others. And that's where I feel like you're at right now. You're the one that's going back out for the other people. You've saved yourself. You're good. But let's see who else we can help along the way. And I'm getting chills right now. I love it so
I know. I'm gonna cry.
I love that that's the energy that I'm getting in this reading from you is just kind of like and it doesn't mean that like you're out of the thick of it. It just
Well,
means that
right.
you're willing to help others while you're going through it too, which is even more admirable. It's not something that a lot of people will do. And then immediately after that, the Ten of Wands, which to me is just like it feels very much just
Excuse
doing what it
me, Daddy.
takes. Aw.
Well, because what I wanted to say is that, like you said, like I'm saving other people, but I'm not like they're saving me.
Oh,
Really.
100%.
Yeah.
And I completely get that because that's how it is in a lot of like the recovery spaces. Yes, I might sponsor someone else. I might establish friendships and relationships with other people, but it's not because like what can I gain from them? It's because like I love to see them grow and I love to see
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love to see them, blossom, and in return that keeps me motivated to keep pushing forward in my own story. So I get that. I
Yeah.
totally get that. And I think it's just same. I don't know what's it's like same story, different font type of
Yeah.
thing. Like it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Well,
There's
and
because it's happening across the world. It's just happening in different
yes.
communities and different purposes. Different.
Mhm.
I don't know what the right word is for that, but you know what I mean.
I do, because and I think that because we are all so unique and individual, when that happens, we all it's like everybody has a gift, right?
Yeah,
And so I think that that's everybody brings something different to the
yeah,
table, which is
yeah. Oh my
wonderful.
gosh, it's and I'm so introverted in person. It's so funny. I will avoid saying hi to people. I will if I see someone I kind of know or like, ooh, they look familiar, I will go the other side of the grocery store. Like, because it's just awkward for me. Like
Yeah.
I'm not like a hugely personable person. My husband, on the other hand, he is 100%. He'll walk up to him, I think I know you, and I'm like, oh, I could never. You know? But then like my heart just craves connection and community. And so yeah, this is like a way I do it. I have my close friends who they're chosen family at this point. It's everyone needs that connection and we don't
Yes.
always know where it's coming from. And it's really cool that we get to I don't know, it's like wearing your heart outside of your body. It's just kinda, like, there for people to see, and it's a beacon for people who need it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Back to the cards again, and there's almost this feeling of dread is the word that's coming up, but it doesn't feel like dread. It feels
Ooh.
more like disinterest of, like, the business side of things.
Okay. Okay.
The heart's there, but maybe like and it's like totally someone at a calculator going, "All right, yeah, I'm gonna get this done." Late nights because you've
Mm.
been putting it off. Maybe it's just it doesn't feel like that's the spark behind what you're doing.
You know what? You are 100% right on that, because that's actually what I did in my last job.
Oh.
I was the back end of everything. I mean, everything from licensing and permitting, finances, HR, I did everything. So when I quit the job that I was, completely overworked and burnt out, and I was like, okay, now what is my what next?
Right.
And I was still very much I was not in a place mentally where I could have really taken anything else on anyway. I really needed some time to be still and to heal. And when I thought about going back to like I have a degree in business.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, I have a degree in business. I've been doing this for my entire life. So, that's the experience that I have. And when I
Right.
thought about sitting in a cubicle,
Right.
I'd rather poke myself in the eyes with needles. Like, I can't, I was like, I can't do it.
Right.
I cannot, I will not, I'm going to do something else.
It almost feels like a trauma response. I'm like
I think so.
like almost drowning in water, and so, nope, not going swimming anymore. Don't wanna do
Nope.
that.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Almost killed me
Nope.
once.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, that's so true. Almost killed me once. Like, yeah, no, I'm not going back.
That's
So,
too funny.
so I actually am, and going forward, my business knowledge, I feel like is going to really, really help to make my dream a reality.
Yeah.
But the work that I'm doing is not sitting in a cubicle.
Right.
I'm gonna pick peaches off of a tree, off of a pieces of land that I buy, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna give it to mothers to feed their kids.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally get that.
Mm.
I was, like I said, in emergency services for a while, and when I decided to stop drinking, left that completely because it was not a safe place for me to be sober. It
I
was
can
just
imagine.
it was tough, and so left that completely. I drove for Uber for a year. Like, it was so far removed from that other world, and I just needed to not have a schedule, not answer to someone. It was completely the worst thing financially for me. But at the time, like, I just really needed to not be important. I really needed to not have life or death situations every day. Like, my nervous system just needed a hard reset, and that was it.
I can resonate with that completely. Yep, yep. It sounds like yeah, you and I, it sounds like we've gone through very similar
Very
experiences where you're just
similar.
like, "I don't care what happens next, but I am not doing that anymore."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and then it was so funny because, like, right when COVID happened, it's like, man, I wish I were still on an ambulance. I wish I were still licensed.
Mhm.
And the state of Georgia sent out an email for anyone who had been previously licensed within the last couple of years and said, hey, if you want to do this, like, you're more than
We
welcome. We're
could
going to
use the help,
relicense
right?
you.
Yeah.
And I started the process to do that, and there was something that happened that I just could not get down and do my fingerprints, or, like, there was one little piece of the puzzle I couldn't accomplish, and I
Mm.
was like, "Well, like, it wasn't meant to be." And
Yes.
that's like my God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. I thought I wanted it. It was not the right thing, and the universe said no.
Right.
And I just
Right.
said, "Okay, some things are just not meant to happen." So, and that's okay. But let's see what else is popping up here. It's so easy with cards like the Lovers or even Two of Cups to go, oh, there's a relationship coming in, but I don't feel like that's your focus right now. Like,
Mm.
I don't feel like it's a priority to be out dating necessarily. Like, it could be fun every now and then, but it just doesn't feel like you would have the bandwidth to spend with someone building a relationship.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
100%.
you know what? It's funny because as soon as I said that, they're like, "No, it's self-love." So the self-love is coming back up of more of, finding out what you're capable of on your own versus feeling the need to be a partner to someone and depending on them to give you the strength, support, encouragement, whatever it is, and it feels very self-driven now. Does
Mm.
that make sense for you?
Absolutely. I actually had the wonderful opportunity to go to a meditation with, oh, shoot, his name is Bhante. I know that there's a second name and it's escaping me right now, but he is the loving kindness monk and he travels the
Wow.
world. Are you familiar?
I don't know if I've heard of it, but that just sounds really cool.
Oh, so cool. And so he literally, his mission in life, he's been a monk since he was 11 years old, from Sri Lanka. And his mission in life is to spread loving kindness. And he came to my hometown and did a meditation. And one of the things that he talked about was self-love. And the way that he framed it was very much an aha moment for me. And it was the way that he said it was loving yourself is like putting on the oxygen mask first.
Right.
Right? It's and not that you can't love other people, but when you love yourself first and you know what that feels like, then you can give love to others.
100%.
And
I
so
love that because I love that you said when you know what that feels like, because there was a point my husband and I we were together, broke up. Like, we were both raising teenagers. It was just not conducive for us to, like, meet and happily ever after. So
like,
the very last time we broke up and discussed moving in together and, like, okay, this is real. We're actually doing this. I cried my eyes out. And I've mentioned it on this podcast before, but it was a moment of realization of, like, I had fallen in love with myself so much that I was almost mourning my single life or my individuality,
yeah.
and had gotten to a point where I needed to decide, is he adding to my life or
Mm.
am I, like, just kind of caving and I'm like, okay, I'm part of a relationship again, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, I knew what that love felt like because I had been giving it to myself already, and I
Um,
recognized it in him. So I love the way that you
that's
said that
lovely.
because there's not really a way to describe it other than those words exactly. Like, I've tried sharing that with other people and I just never really had the right way, but that's it. Like, that's
Oh, I'm so
exactly what it is.
happy. Oh,
Yeah.
good.
And now he pisses me off every day, but
As they do, as they do.
I
Yeah.
love him, and I cannot picture life without him, but can you
But sometimes I
please
do.
yeah, I'm like, "Can you just please put your shoes away instead of right where I'm walking?"
Mhm. You know,
You know?
I met someone recently who, I believe it's second or third marriage for each of them, and they both have kids, and they live, I think, like, on the same block, but not
Yeah,
together. And I'm
yeah.
like,
I
"How
actually have known people like that, yeah.
genius,
I know,
genius." I mean, that's gonna save your relationship right there, you know?
right.
Like, that's
Oh,
huge because then you're not stepping over their shoes when you're trying to get to the bathroom, you know?
I've considered just using the extra bedroom as, like, my primary room, and,
Mhm.
like, we'll visit each other. I don't know, we're not quite there yet, but
I think it's a great idea, and I think that we are so stuck in we're so stuck in so many things, so many
Right,
social norms that really kinda go back to all the things that we were talking about, right?
right,
That we have to have, that we have to have a man, and then you have to sleep in the same bed, and the same
right,
room, and the same house, and this nice nuclear family, and
right.
this is how we support each other, and it's like, there's probably better ways to do this, you
Right,
know?
exactly.
And I think the 50% divorce rate, shows us that.
Sure, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm his 4th wife, and we're not technically married. He's my 2nd,
Okay.
and, we all of his kids are my kids, and all of my kids are his kids, and we share grandkids, like, there's no distinction between them
That's
because
nice.
I love them like they're my own, so why would I
Yeah.
talk about them like they're not, It just doesn't make sense to me. But, yeah, all of our finances are separate. We are on our
Mhm,
house
mhm.
together, but that's, like, that and the cars, nothing else,
Yeah,
because they saw what caused problems previously, and
right.
I'm like, "I'm not doing that again." Not because someone else tells me I should, not because
Smart
I need
woman.
to. Right. And it just has made things much easier for us. But what's nice is, like, he's been through similar experiences and he sees the same benefits. So we don't have to,
Yeah.
it's I have this is my office slash closet slash whatever. Like, I've made this extra room mine. I have all of my clothes hung up out in the open. I have my desk and I have all of my tarot cards on the shelf over here. And he he's like, "Well, where's my room?" I'm like, "I don't know, but this is my room, like, I'm happy here, this is my happy space." But, like
Figure it out.
right, I'm like, "You have" he's a musician, I'm like, "You have guitars throughout the house, literally, so I don't know what you're talking about, like, the house is yours."
I just have a
But
closet, okay?
right? But, yeah, like, I needed my own space, and,
Sure.
very rarely these days, but I will be like, "Okay, I'm going to my office, like, I just need to lay
Yeah.
down for a little bit," and, like he used to laugh because 'cause he'd come home from work and I'd be laying on the floor on my pile of clothes, but it was like my decompression space.
Like, leave
So
me alone. Don't judge my decompression.
right, and I haven't done that in a while, probably because it hurts my back when I do that, like, I'm that old now. But,
I get that. Like, yeah,
um
that just
but
hurts
yeah,
now.
so, like, I kept getting these, like, romantic type cards, but that's just not the feeling that I'm getting. And I do feel like, I do feel like dating can be fun. Like, it doesn't have to be for an end goal. Like, I think it's
Mhm.
fun to get to know people and experience things with others. It just doesn't have to be for marriage all the time.
Absolutely, and honestly, it's something that I'm unlearning.
Yeah,
I am in a space now where I've been single for the longest that I've ever been in my entire adult life. So it's like, and I need to, and I'm working very hard, like I said, toward, that doesn't have to be my end goal,
right,
but I was raised,
right,
that was always what I thought I should, that's where I thought I should be.
right. And
And
goes
so
back
that
to
was,
the whole
yeah,
reason for the podcast of, like, we all think we should be somewhere else. It just doesn't
right.
always make sense for us.
Right. And then when it doesn't happen, well, then what?
Right.
Right? Trying to unlearn that and put different visions and different futures in that
Yeah.
space. And if it happens again, then they're definitely not living in my house. I will
You
tell
know,
you that.
after my divorce, my ex-husband and I actually shared a house. I lived in the basement, which had its own little apartment,
Mm.
and then he lived on the top floor. We shared a kitchen, but we were both firefighters at the time, and so our schedules were completely opposite so that we could always be with the kids. Very rarely were we home at the same time, but it worked so well
Oh,
for that
yeah.
period of our lives, and our kids had both of their parents in the house. It gave them an opportunity to just see that we could co-parent. Maybe not
Uh-huh.
perfectly all the time, but we could still work together. And I'm really thankful for that time. It worked, but it maybe we were always just not really supposed to be married. Maybe we were not supposed to. Regardless, it's nice to have your own space in a shared house sometimes. Like, it's
Yeah.
just nice.
Yeah. Well, that's really wonderful that you were able to co-parent like that. Like you said, especially for your kids. I'm sure it made a huge difference for them.
They have maybe that's it, but, like, they have turned out really, really well adjusted. And I'm like, "I don't know where you got that from," because both he and I are a little crazy, so
I get that. I kind of think the same thing about my kids too. Like, man, you guys are both doing really good. Like, must have done something right along the way.
Right. Well, and the nice thing is 3 no, 2 out of my 3 are in really solid relationships. Like, they've been together longer than my partner and I. I'm like, "Wow, like, how did you guys pull that off? Tell me your secrets."
Seriously. It's because they're still young. They don't know any better yet.
They don't well, my daughter has been with her husband since they met in middle school. They started dating in high school, and now they have a
Wow.
little girl, and I was like, "Wow," like, that's just so I don't know, it's, like, so rare
It
and
really
so
is.
unique,
Mhm.
and they are still madly in love with each other, like, he
Oh,
totally treasures her, and I know she's just, like, so appreciative and respectful for everything he does. And it's really cool just to see, yeah, like there's some sort of example that they saw, to give them that. And I really love that for her. Um, it's just really neat to see them.
going back to what you said about, life not turning out like it, where you're not where you thought you were supposed to be. There's a grief that comes along with that.
There really is. Yeah.
For the longest time, I shouldn't say the longest time, but in the time closest to my second divorce and realizing, and if you want to invite me back on to have another conversation about that, that's a whole other podcast. Um, but but in that time, and I'm seeing, you see them. The world is made for couples, and when you
Right.
see, and I would see like this old couple, and it's like the little old lady with her walker, and the husband, helping her holding the door,
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh God, like I wanted that,
Right.
But now that's just not like I can't explain it, and you never say never. Who knows,
Right.
what will happen, but my intuition tells me just kinda like you just said, like, I don't think that's in the cards for me,
Almost literally.
literally wasn't it's not in the cards, and so just to come to that realization and that acceptance, it takes a bit.
Right. Well, but also our energy is always evolving. Like our story is constantly writing itself.
Yes.
And
Yes, it
so where
is.
you're at right now, and that's why I said it the way I did, it's just not a priority.
Right.
It's not something that you're actively seeking and looking for and desiring. It just feels like a very neutral outlook on it. Like it just kind of like, that's nice for everyone else, like, but
Yeah.
I don't need it right now.
Yeah, that's very true, like, good luck to you.
Right.
That's nice for you.
That's so funny, yeah. Wishing you all the best. Um, there's just, like you said, there is some grief. So I was 23, I had a hysterectomy. And so at 23, I could not have any more kids. And I did not mourn that or grieve that until I was about 16 years past that. Like,
Wow,
it took
okay.
that long. And there was a day, and it was actually after my divorce, where I went, he could still have kids if he wanted to. I cannot. It's just
Yeah,
kinda like, if I meet someone else, I cannot have any more kids.
yeah.
And the grieving of like, especially as a woman, you're told so much of your worth depends on your fertility or your
Mhm,
ability to create life, and that's,
mhm.
so even in more spiritual, like, feminist type of communities, it's all about, like, how we're these productive, reproductive, you know, God vessels,
Sure.
and
Well, and it's
to
it's
not
just it is
have
a
that.
part of a lot of women's identity.
It
or
is.
something that you thought would be,
Right.
right? And then
Right.
when that
And
changes, it's
I,
hard to
like I
accept.
recognize that I'm so fortunate I was able to have kids. And I would not have chosen to have 3 kids under the age of 22, but I did.
Yeah.
And, there was a reason for that. And I didn't know it at the time, and that's fine. But yeah, that grief that hits later when you're like, "Oh, this is not where I thought I'd be." Like
Mhm.
that's it's a whole process all on its own. Like, it's not
Absolutely.
anything that anyone prepares you for.
No, no, it's not. And so I think it's wonderful that you're doing what you're doing so that folks can hear this and
Yeah,
maybe be prepared. Like these things, things will happen in your life that, are completely contradictory to what you believed your future would hold.
right.
And how to deal with those things and then turn them around to be positive influences is a skill.
Yeah. Well, and also I think, like, when I feel like for me, I can only speak for myself. When I share my stories, it gives people permission to feel their own feelings about whatever it is they're going through too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I have grieved. It's okay for you to grieve too. Yes,
Yeah,
I've
and it's
been mad about
normal.
this. Right. And
Mhm.
I think there's so many people that are like, especially now, they're like, "Yay, divorce, I got out of that bad relationship." And that's true, but life didn't go the way you planned, and there
Right.
is some feeling associated with that, and that's
Mhm.
okay.
Right.
It
And you're
doesn't
not
have to be
alone. You are not
right,
alone.
right. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be that you're upset that the person broke your heart. I don't really care about that part anymore. Also, like, no one gets married to get divorced. Like, that's not the end goal.
Right. Of
You know?
course.
Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
some sort of letdown there.
This is not how I thought this was gonna end. Yeah. Yeah. I found myself at a point in life where, I had 2 women who were very close to me, and, I was, going through a divorce, and another one had the happily ever after, but whose husband was 14 years older and passed away, and so
Mm,
now they're trying to navigate life
yeah,
without them. And then I had another, dear friend of mine who is our age, and, her husband committed suicide.
yeah,
And so here we all are in kind of different stages of life and finding ourselves independent and in some level feeling abandoned.
yeah.
And we all had different endings
Mhm,
to our relationships.
yeah.
And most relationships end and it's just a matter of how,
Oh,
right?
that broke my heart, but yes,
I know,
100%.
I know. And so the more, and I've been thinking about this a lot as we age, the older we get, the more relationships will end.
Yeah, and I do think that we're at that point in life where whether it's family or friends that we know, even celebrities that we grew up recognizing they're all starting to face
Mhm.
their own mortality in a way,
Yes,
whether
yes.
it's through illness or
Mhm.
passing on, and
Or
it really
growth.
does.
Sometimes it's growth,
Right.
where
Yeah.
you
Oh
find
my
like, you know
gosh.
what? Like this person just does not fit in my world anymore.
And that happens all the time to me, and I
Mhm.
I I joke because I'm like, my soul must have said, "I'm choosing, like, the Fast and Furious plan. I want super growth all the time," and I feel like I go through this 2-year cycle where, like, I'll have, someone super close for 2 years, and we'll just be right on the same page and completely in sync, and then at, like, 2-year mark, I don't even know who this person is anymore. And
Yeah.
it's one
Wow.
or both of us have moved on in different ways, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm not hanging on to people anymore, like, I can't, because it just causes more grief for me, but,
Mm.
yeah, like,
Mhm.
growth is a part of that too,
It sure is.
100%.
Yeah.
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 It's an interesting time in life. A lot of people are discovering who they are and what they're
Mhm.
really capable of,
Mhm.
and other people are almost realizing it too late, I wanna say. Like, there's
Mm.
some people who are faced with illness and death, and they're going, "Oh, man, I coulda done more, or I could have
Mhm.
been different. I could have been
Yeah.
nicer. I could have been" like, whatever it happens to be.
Mhm.
And it's always a reminder for me of I don't want to have that end of life
To
regret.
regret.
Like, I
Mhm.
I want to be that person now, and I have the ability to choose to do that,
Yeah.
and I
I
always
agree.
feel really guilty, like I said, I'm super shy in person, and I'm like, "Oh, I know I should say hi to that person, or I know I should introduce myself to that new person there, and make them feel welcome," and then my fear just, like, takes over again, and I sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. You know, like, I'm trying, and it's
Yeah.
just, but then, yeah, like, I don't want my cousin passed away when she was 31, and she is one of the biggest inspirations for a lot of stuff, the podcast being one of them because she was the one that pulled me out of my shell
Mhm.
as a really shy child, and so I always think, "What would she do? How would she handle this?" Like,
Yeah.
what would her initial reaction be? And I try to strive to be that person because she was just man, she was, like, full throttle in life, like, everything and, like, the world was her oyster. She did what she wanted to do, and she had a fun time doing it, and so, yeah, like, I don't I and I also take, the perspective of, like, she doesn't have the same opportunities I'm experiencing now, and so I can do it out of respect for her, out of in memory of her.
I was gonna say, sounds like you're channeling her energy a bit.
Oh, she's awesome. Like, she was just I miss her so much, and, like, we were closer as kids. I had my kids really early, she had her daughter a little later in life, and, like, I miss being able to see her as a mom, I miss, just,
Yeah.
like, the conversations we would have now, like, what would they look like? And so,
Yeah.
yeah, her energy was very strong, but
Oh.
she's
Oh,
aw I mean, like, she's still awesome.
I was
Now I
gonna
just
say she's still
yeah,
with
oh,
you, she's around, yeah, that
she
energy
always
didn't go anywhere, but, to
yep,
your point, it is like, when we have losses like that, some people have, so much loss really early in life,
yeah.
and then I think, that it creates so many mental health issues because we're just not equipped to deal with that kind of trauma, and mm, but I think that's something that I'm really working on just personally is trying to learn how to navigate loss
Of any
because
kind.
of any
Yeah,
kind.
yeah,
Exactly, exactly, because it's, it is incredibly difficult but it is absolutely a part of life.
it is, unfortunately, it just is.
It
Like,
is,
I'm
and
good
when
with
we
the
and
death
when
part. Like, death to me is very, natural, like, and
well,
I
that's
think
right, as
because I
a
am
yeah,
Indian, like, that helps me understand it a little bit more, the past life regression stuff, like, it kinda bridges that gap for me, but it's the people who are still around and I have outgrown or they've outgrown me or whatever that looks like, heartbreak, those ones are
yes,
harder for me because as a human, I don't have all the answers, like, I will never understand from their perspective
uh-huh,
of what happened, and
yeah,
it just is what it is, and that's
yes,
my grief to
yeah.
process.
Well, and you know what? That's a really good point that you just made is it is, it is what it is. And I heard a quote once that said, suffering is caused by wanting, wishing, hoping, dreaming that something was different than it is.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's what actually like leads to our suffering. And so when we can accept that it
Yeah.
is what it is, while it's
That's so true.
difficult, we don't wallow in that suffering.
Wallowing used to be one of my favorite pastimes. My
Oh
pity
yeah.
parties were iconic. I'm luckily realized they're not fun anymore. Like,
Yeah, yeah, they
but
don't
yeah,
help
like
you.
yeah,
They
no,
don't help.
it's complete waste of energy to just sit in that place. And I do think that like we have to experience those emotions and that's
Yes.
fine, but I don't have to stay there. I don't have to set up camp and hang out in my wallowing anymore. And
Yeah,
that's,
but that's hard though. It's hard to recognize when you're in it, and it's hard sometimes to get out of the pond, so to speak,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're just stuck, just I've been there too. And so my hope is by using our voices and
Mhm.
and sharing our stories and sharing our truths that, when somebody is wallowing in the pond, I mean, I was certainly there and I remember talking to my therapist being like, when am I getting out? when is this going to be out? Because it feels like never. It feels like I'm stuck forever and I'm never going to get out of this mental hell.
What is
And
the
she was
timeline
like,
on
and
this?
right. And she was like, oh, it'll just be like a couple. And she would give me these short periods of time that I could accept. Like, okay, well,
Yeah.
I can hold on for just a little bit longer,
Yeah.
you know? And sometimes it just, like you said, our nervous systems, that plays into everything. It takes time. It takes
Yeah.
time
It
to
does.
to see clearly, and sometimes you need somebody to reach a hand out too. So,
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to grab some other cards because I forgot to grab them.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we'll start to wrap up. I'm going to do the Goddess Guidance Oracle deck because I love, did I say goddess? Yeah.
Mhm.
My brain. I did actually have caffeine this morning too. That's surprising. But I like to see what type of goddess energy is around right now
Ooh, yeah.
because I think that is so important. Let's see, one more shuffle. And I find that like sometimes I'll pull a card I've never seen before. And it's really, really fun. This one, it comes out rarely. I love this. Vesta.
Ooh.
She represents a home. Your household situation is improving either through a move or a healthy change in the occupants. And I think that's so funny because you're talking about how, like, if you ever are in a relationship again, you're going to keep your own home and no one else needs to be there. Let's see. I want to see where she's from. Vesta is a Roman goddess of home and hearth. She's a fire goddess who brings warmth to households, both as temperature and as emotion. In ancient Rome, a temple in her honor bore a flame that burned continually. Call upon Vesta to oversee any changes you'd like to make in your living situation. That's interesting. I just think it's important to make home a sanctuary. It's so important to have a place that feels safe and comfortable. I am a Cancer moon though, so for me, home is everything. But
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's very, yeah, I'm not even sure what to say about that because I just had a meeting this week about creating a sanctuary for women and for single mothers, and it looks like I may have some progress in getting this funded, and it's doing exactly that.
I
So
love that.
that's
So
really
it's maybe
exciting.
not your physical home, but
Oh, yeah,
more
no,
so
no, I'll leave
like,
them, and I'm looking to buy a piece of land in North Carolina,
"Oh,
and
fun."
I wanna, literally create this is my goal. My goal is to create a small community, and there'll be a vegetable farm and a fruit
Oh,
tree and a little market where we will accept donations and then wash them and turn them around, and so women can come and shop for their kids for food or for clothes for free.
I love that so
Or
much.
if you're a mom who's in between, who's getting divorced and you need a minute to get on your feet because
Yeah,
now you have to sell this house and turn around, my hope is to build homes, tiny homes on this big piece of property where maybe women could, if they wanted to live full time, that might be something that we could explore, or just
right.
temporary housing to help mothers and give them the support that they need to get back on their feet.
I love that. Oh my gosh. It's not even yeah, so it's not even about your home, but creating home, the feeling of home for
Yes.
the people who need it.
Yeah, but I would be living there
Oh,
to,
sure. Yeah, yeah,
run
yeah.
the whole thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but again, it's not about you specifically, it's about the community of
Yeah.
people. It's people you haven't met yet and people you don't know. But I love that it's people that yeah, like complete strangers at this point.
Mhm.
It's the idea of people that you wanna touch, and I don't know, like, my vision is not that big yet, and so I have a lot of respect for that.
Thank you.
That's really nice. And then I have one more card to pull. This is the Wild Offering deck, and for oh gosh, I don't even know how long I've had these now, 5, 6 years. I pull one at the end of almost every single reading, and they're just such a nice little message. This one's interesting too. Loneliness. When you stop fearing your aloneness, you stop settling for less than you deserve. May I embrace and love my solitude. And that's when kindred spirits can finally come. And I feel like we talked about that too.
We sure did. We sure did.
I
Yeah.
I mean, it basically said exactly
Wow.
what you said. You have to know that love first for yourself
Yeah.
before you can see it in anyone else.
And like you said earlier, which is also 100% on the mark, is I'm enjoying my solitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. I before I got sober, hated being alone. Like that
Right.
was the worst thing in the world that could have ever happened to me. Sit there and be alone. Why?
Oh, sure.
And now, like I'm so picky about the other people in my life because they have to make my alone time worth it.
Yeah.
Like I love myself. I love hanging out with myself. I'm so funny. Like like I'm so smart and I'm so funny and I just love like I crack myself up sometimes because I'll be like editing TikToks and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm hilarious." And I'll like send it to my kids and I'm like, "Mom, you're stupid." You know?
You know what? That's so funny. I actually got like TikTok famous for like a half a second
Yeah.
because I made a joke in the background of my son's TikTok. And I didn't even know that it was happening. I thought that he was talking on the phone, or I thought, when talking on the
Right.
phone. Um but I didn't realize that he was recording. And he
That's
ended up posting it and it got like over 500,000 views. It was nuts,
yeah.
and everybody's like, "Your mom's iconic. She's so funny." And I'm like, "Mhm."
Yeah. You're welcome.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh,
I loved our conversation and I cannot wait to continue to see what you build and grow. I think it's absolutely just from the heart phenomenal. I think it's just so cool to hear someone who wants to reach so many people and just show them the love that you like we're talking about that for yourself. But I've enjoyed every moment of this. Thank you for joining me.
thank you so much for having me. I have really enjoyed this too.